If you're over 60 and you've ever felt a sudden weakness, a strange sensation in your arm, or even a brief moment of confusion, not ignore it. Because for many of my patients, that tiny off feeling was the only warning they got before a stroke hit. And when I say stroke, I'm not just talking about a medical emergency. I'm talking about a life-altering, memory-wiping, mobility-stealing event that could take everything from you in less than 5 minutes. And the scariest part? Most strokes don't come out of nowhere. Your body tries to whisper to you first. It gives you clues, but only if you know how to listen. Let me tell you about someone who almost didn't make it. Her name was Barbara, 68, retired librarian, sharp as a tack, always solving puzzles, never missed her morning walk. One day, she felt a strange numbness in her left hand. It wasn't painful. It just felt fuzzy, like her fingers weren't hers. She thought it was her wrist. Maybe arthritis. Maybe she'd slept funny. But what Barbara didn't know was that this wasn't a wrist problem. It was a vascular warning sign. A small clot had formed in a narrowed artery in her neck. And that numbness? That was her brain begging for oxygen. Dr. Raymond Cho, a stroke neurologist I've worked with for years, says the first symptom of a stroke is often not slurred speech or facial droop. It's usually a change in sensation, balance, or vision that lasts a few seconds, then disappears. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Because people feel it, and then feel fine again. So they ignore it. And hours later, the real stroke hits. That's exactly what happened to Barbara. The next morning, she was making tea, reached for the mug, and her right hand wouldn't move. She couldn't speak. Her brain was under attack. She survived, but not without damage. Her speech is still slower. Her right leg still drags. She told me through tears, if I'd gone to the A the night before, they said they could have stopped it. But I waited. I didn't want to overreact. Seniors, please. I'm telling you now. Overreact. Because that fuzzy hand? That dizzy spell? That weird double vision? It could be a TIA, a transient ischemic attack. It is what doctors call a mini-stroke, and it is your only warning before the real one comes. Dr. Jason Wolf, a heart doctor with over 30 years of experience, explains, if we catch a TIA early, we can often prevent the full stroke, but the window is short. Hours, not days. Now, you may be wondering, what causes these strokes in the first place? The truth is, after 60, your arteries change. They stiffen, they narrow, and tiny bits of plaque can break loose and block blood flow to the brain. High blood pressure? Big contributor? Unstable blood sugar? Also huge. Even sitting too much, carrying belly fat, or losing leg muscle can increase your risk. The body is all connected. I had a patient, Michael, 71, former construction worker. Strong, but ignored his blood pressure for years. I feel fine, he'd say. One day he had blurry vision. Thought it was his glasses. 2 days later, he collapsed. He made it, but he can't write with his dominant hand anymore. He told me, Doc, I wish I'd listened to that signal. So what can you do? First, you need to treat every sudden strange symptom seriously. Don't assume it's nothing. Don't wait until morning. Don't sleep it off. Even if it goes away in minutes, go to the ER. The faster you act, the more brain you save. Second, if you're over 60, your lifestyle has to become your medicine. We now know that certain foods, like beets, pomegranate juice, leafy greens, OMEGA, 3-South can actually help dilate blood vessels and support cerebral circulation. I helped Barbara rebuild her routine with brain-boosting foods and gentle walking. She's stronger now than before the stroke, but she never stopped wishing she'd acted earlier. If you've ever had a strange sensation, numbness, confusion, or blurry vision, even once, tell me in the comments. Your story could save someone's life. And if this is the kind of content you want more of, go ahead and subscribe. We break down complex senior health into real, usable advice that could change your life. Because stroke doesn't knock on the door, it sneaks in. And unless you know how to hear its whispers, you might not have time to scream. Seniors, what I'm about to tell you may shock you. And it should. Because the warning sign you felt, the numbness, the dizziness, the weird loss of words, might have been caused not by a big dramatic event, but by something you do every single day. I'm not talking about smoking or eating fast food. I'm talking about everyday habits that seem innocent, even healthy, but can quietly increase your stroke risk without you knowing it. Let me tell you what I discovered with one of my patients, Irene, 74, former math teacher, full of life, loved walking in the park and cooking for her grandkids. One day, she came in with a strange complaint. I feel wobbly in the mornings, she said. It's like my brain is slow to wake up, but I drink my coffee, take my vitamins, and eat breakfast. When I asked her to walk me through her routine, here's what she told me. She woke up, skipped water, went straight to coffee, then had a piece of toast with low-fat butter, maybe some fruit, took her blood pressure pills, sat for a few hours watching TV or scrolling her iPad. And that's when I realized Irene wasn't sick. She was accidentally triggering stroke conditions every morning. Here's how. First, dehydration. Seniors, your brain is over 70% water. After a long night's sleep, you're already dehydrated. If you don't drink water first thing, your blood becomes thicker, stickier, more prone to clotting. Dr. Eva Lin, a vascular specialist I trust deeply, said it bluntly. The number one mistake seniors make is skipping water in the morning. It's like running your car engine with no oil. Now imagine drinking coffee on top of that, a diuretic. It pulls even more fluid from your system, narrowing the vessels, increasing blood pressure, the perfect storm for a stroke. Then there's the food. That toast and fruit, while it sounds light and healthy, it's pure carbs and sugar. This causes a rapid blood sugar spike, followed by a crash. And that crash? It causes dizziness, fatigue, and for some people, a rise in inflammatory cytokines that constrict the arteries. You don't feel it immediately, but your brain does. One study in the journal Stroke found that seniors who experience frequent blood sugar variability have a 34% increased risk of ischemic stroke, the kind caused by clots. And what about sitting for hours right after breakfast? Seniors, I'm not here to sugarcoat this. Sitting for more than 2 hours without movement increases blood pooling in the legs, decreases circulation to the brain, and slows the body's ability to regulate blood pressure. Irene was unknowingly creating a perfect stroke recipe every morning. Dehydrated brain, thickened blood, inflammatory breakfast, sedentary routine. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't unhealthy. She just didn't know. But once she made a few key changes, everything shifted. We added 12 ounces of lemon water first thing in the morning, switched her breakfast to eggs with avocado and greens, encouraged her to walk for 5 minutes after every hour of sitting. 2 weeks later, she came back and said, "Doctor, I feel like someone rebooted my brain. I'm steady. I'm clear. I'm ME again." And her blood pressure? Down by 18 points. This is the power of knowing your stroke triggers before they strike. Because the scary truth is, 80% of strokes are preventable, but only if you know what's putting you at risk. So let me ask you, do you feel lightheaded when standing up quickly? Have you had sudden moments of blurry vision or ringing ears? Are you skipping meals or relying on caffeine to get through the day? These are early flags that your brain may not be giving enough blood flow. If this sounds like you, please leave a comment below. Let me know what symptoms you've noticed. Someone else might see your story and finally recognize the same signs in themselves. And if this is hitting close to home, go ahead and like this video. It tells YouTube to show it to other seniors, people just like you, who may be living on the edge without even knowing it. Because in the next part of this conversation, going even deeper into the red flags your brain sends you right before a stroke, and how one specific type of pain could be your last warning. Seniors, if you're watching this right now, please don't look away. Because the most dangerous part of a stroke isn't the event itself. It's the hours before, the period when your body is crying out for help, and you don't even know it. I'm going to tell you something most doctors won't say in public, and frankly, it makes me furious. Most stroke victims had signs days, even hours, before it happened, and not the dramatic kind you see in movies. Not face drooping or collapsing. I'm talking about subtle pain, strange sensations, emotional changes. Let me introduce you to Gary, 66, retired mechanic, strong, alert, healthy by all accounts. But 3 days before his stroke, he called his daughter and said something odd. I've had this weird pressure in my neck, not sharp, just tight, she told him to stretch, take a nap. The next morning, he woke up with a dull headache behind one eye. Then, he started dropping things with his left hand. He didn't think much of it. But by noon, he couldn't speak. That afternoon, he was in the ICU with a major ischemic stroke. He survived, but with limited mobility and speech. When I sat with him during rehab, he whispered, the signs were there. I just didn't know they meant anything. Gary's story is common, because many stroke warnings don't feel like emergencies. Let me share what brain specialists, like Dr. Ilana Feld, a neurovascular researcher, have observed again and again. Many seniors experience vague, localized pain or changes in balance, mood, or vision up to 48 hours before a stroke. They're dismissed, ignored, or worse, medicated with painkillers and forgotten. So what does that warning pain actually feel like? Often, it's a tight band around the neck or base of the skull, a persistent headache that's different from your usual ones. Sudden tingling or burning in the hands, or face a strange heaviness in one limb. Not weakness, just fatigue, or even an emotional wave, sudden irritability, panic, or confusion. I had a patient, Ruth, 70, retired piano teacher, who told me she burst into tears over the sound of the dishwasher. It was like something in me broke, she said. 2 days later, she collapsed in her garden, her right side paralyzed. Turns out, a small clot had lodged in the part of her brain responsible for emotional regulation, and her tears were a neurological signal. We have to stop ignoring these things. You know your body. You've lived in it for decades. So if something feels off, it probably is. And here's something you should know. Women often present stroke symptoms differently than men. While men may show classic signs like arm weakness and slurred speech, women are more likely to feel confusion, nausea, fatigue, sudden emotional outbursts. So if you or someone you love suddenly seems mentally or emotionally out of character, don't assume it as stress. It could be the brain losing blood. And it happens fast. In the A, we say, time is brain. Every minute a stroke goes untreated, the brain loses approximately 1.9 million neurons. That's memory, mobility, language, gone. But here's the miracle. If caught within the first 3 hours, many strokes are reversible. With the right clot-busting medication, we can dissolve the blockage and restore blood flow, saving a life, saving independence. But you have to get there in time. And that means recognizing the red flags. Seniors, please, if you've had unusual head pressure, limb heaviness, sudden emotional swings, or visual changes in the last few days, I urge you, don't wait. Call your doctor. Go to urgent care. Get checked. It's better to overreact and be safe than to sit home and regret it. I want you to do something for me. Right now, if you've ever had a strange episode like this, Leave a comment. Tell me what it felt like. Don't hold back. Your story might sound just like someone else's and could save their life. And if you're finding this helpful, click the like button. It helps more seniors find this information, and it tells YouTube to spread life-saving messages like this one. Because this conversation isn't over, there's one more truth you need to hear about what happens after a stroke and the simple daily routine that can reduce your risk of another one by over 60%. Seniors, let me say something most doctors forget to tell you after a stroke. You are not broken. Yes, a stroke may have changed your life, but your brain is still capable of healing. I've worked with stroke survivors for over 20 years, and I can tell you this: with the right actions, the right daily habits, and the right mindset, you can not only recover, you can come back sharper than before. But here is the part that shocked me when I first read it in the American Heart Journal. Up to 1 in 4 stroke survivors will suffer a second stroke within 5 years. 1 in 4. And the reason why isn't just genetics or bad luck. It's just because they weren't told what daily habits make the difference. So today, I want to give you the truth. Let me take you back to Gerald, 76, Vietnam veteran. Had a mild stroke at age 72. He was lucky. He got to the hospital fast. No paralysis. But he did lose a bit of balance and some short-term memory. He was discharged with a list of pills and a warning to eat better and walk more. But no one told him how. No one explained why certain things mattered more than others. And no one gave him hope. By the time I met him, he had started to fade. Not physically, but mentally. He was forgetting conversations, repeating stories, losing his train of thought halfway through a sentence. But when I looked deeper, it wasn't the stroke doing this anymore. It was his daily routine. He skipped breakfast, ate frozen dinners, slept poorly, and worst of all, he'd stopped moving. "I don't want to fall again," he said, "so I stay still." But here's the shocking truth. Immobility is one of the most dangerous things for a recovering brain. Dr. Sora Wen, a leading neurorehabilitation expert, puts it like this: every step a stroke survivor takes is a signal to the brain. We're still alive. Let's rebuild. Movement fuels rewiring. It turns on healing. So we made a plan for Gerald. Tiny walks, 3 minutes every hour. He started adding blueberries, turmeric tea, and omega-3 rich salmon to his week. And before bed, instead of TV, he listened to calming binaural beats to promote deep sleep. Within 4 weeks, he was recalling full conversations again. His posture improved. His mood, lighter, sharper. And he told me this: "Doc, I'm not just surviving now. I'm living." You see, stroke recovery isn't just about avoiding death. It's about reclaiming life. But even if you've never had a stroke, you still need this. Because what helps recover the brain also helps protect the brain from the next attack. So here's the core of what I teach every senior. Hydration. Start your day with 12 to 16 ounces of water. Add lemon if possible. Circulation. Move for 2 to 3 minutes every hour. Stretch your calves. Flex your toes. Nutrition. Focus on anti-inflammatory foods. Berries, leafy greens, walnuts, turmeric, olive oil. Oxygen. Breathe deeply. Use a wedge pillow if you snore. Keep airways clear. Sleep. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of high-quality darkroom sleep. No screens before bed. Don't fret. Don't fear your body. Reconnect with it. Trust it. And train it with love, not punishment. If you've come this far in the video, I want to ask you something important. Have you or a loved one gone through a stroke? Are you living in fear of the next one? Or maybe you've had strange symptoms and you're wondering if it was a warning. Tell me in the comments. I read every story. And sometimes, just writing it down is the first step toward healing. And if you're someone who wants to stay ahead, not just survive, but thrive after 60, Please subscribe to this channel, because this is just one of many battles we're going to face together. Memory loss, blood pressure, leg cramps, balance issues, dementia prevention. And I promise, you don't have to do it alone. Your brain is the most powerful part of you. Don't let it go silent. You are still you. You are still here. And you still have time.